To find equivalent fractions, we can use the left to right or right to left multipliers or divisors. So in this case here, 8 to 4, we're going to divide by 2, and we can then use that same multiplier or divisor to get the equivalent proportion. So 2 to 8 is equal to 1 to 4. And again, for now, I really want you to make sure that you can show me those factors involved. So here we have a times 2 factor. We're going to show the times 2 factor here. So 6 to 10 proportion, 5 to 6 proportion is the same as 10 to 12. Okay, so here we have again a times 2, times 2. So 2 to 5 is same as 4 to 10. We could do it in the reverse as well, so we can divide this way. And then if we want to go from left to right, right to left is divide, well, left to right then must be the opposite, or times. So we get the proportion 3 to 8 is equivalent to 9 to 24. The multipliers don't necessarily have to be whole numbers. If I want to find a multiplier, I divide. So in this case here, I'm going to take 12 divided by 8. That gives me 1.5. So 1.5 is my multiplier. So then if it's the multiplier going from left to right, I'm going to use the same multiplier for the top. So I end up with 6 to 8 is equal to 9 to 12. Here we have times 3. Again, we're going to do times 3, and we get 9 to 24. Okay, seems to be the same one as this one here, but again, it's good to get the practice in. Here we have a times 3 multiplier. So we must use the same times 3 on the top. Here, this is not I'm going to divide going the other way around. Okay, so 18 divided by 27 is going to give me 2/3. So I've got a times by 2/3 this way. Or we can say divide by 3 times by 2. So going in the opposite direction, we can either divide by 2/3, or we can, instead of timesing by 2, we can divide by 2. Instead of dividing by 3, I can times by 3. And it's just dividing by 2/3 the same as multiplying by 3 over 2. So we end up with times by 3 divided by 2. That's going to give me 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3 over 27. And this one's a little bit harder, so we should just double check this. 2 to 18 simplifies to 1 to 9. 3 to 27 simplifies to 1 to 9, so it's the same thing. So there's lots of ways we can do this. We want to find the simplest way, and if we want to break this down into separate times and divide, so for example, going from here to here, we're going to divide by 2 first, divide by 2, and then times by 3. And we can do the same thing here. We can divide by 2 and then times by 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, times by 3 is 3. And that would also work. Here we have times 2 going right to left. So divide by 2 going from left to right. So this is going to be, although this is not a fraction per se, since we're going to end up with 2.5. So 2.5 really shouldn't show up in a fraction. However, the proportion is still the same. Okay, although it's not a nice way to write it, the proportion of 5 to 8 is equivalent to 2.5 to 4. Here we have a times 4. So going in the opposite direction, we're going to divide by 4. So 8 over 16 is a 1 to 2 ratio. 2 to 4 is same as a 1 to 2 ratio as well. Okay, so we have times by 11 here. So we're going to divide by 11. So 77 over 44 is the same proportion as 7 over 4. So again, here we can do this in steps or use a fraction. I'm going to divide by 3 first, and then times by 4. So in this, I'm going to times by 3 and divide by 4. That's going to give me 3 over 9. So 4 to 12 is same as 3 over 9. We can use a decimal if we wanted to, but the decimal, we have to be careful with decimals because sometimes we end up having to round them. And with fractions, we want to avoid the decimal in the proportion. So there's a times 2 here, times 2 here. Here we have a times 3 and times 3. So we end up with 21 over 24. Again, we want to scale the top and bottom by the same amount. So this is where our multiplier and divisors come in. For now, I want you to show me these multipliers or divisors and show me that you're using the same on the top and bottom, or you can use, if you're going in the opposite directions, you can use times instead of divide or divide instead of times.